Why? I said wake up, motherfucker. Hi-oh! Ian here for Sleep Deprivation, the Big SD, back with more World of Warcraft content, and I was supposed to be playing Classic WoW right now, but as you can clearly see, I'm still in the queue of death. Those of you who are like, but you picked Fairly and you shouldn't pick that server. That's what my friends are playing. Suck one and eat a dick. Anyways, I figured since I can't actually play the game, might as well do the next best thing, make a recording talking about how I think other people are playing it the wrong way. You see, this is one of those interesting situations where Classic WoW is a different game than BFA. Surprise, shocking, I know, right? So you shouldn't play it like BFA, and I'm not saying that everyone is, but allow me to elaborate. You see, Classic WoW has been out for about a month at the point of this recording, or 4 weeks, whatever you want to fucking call it. I don't give a shit. And the race to 60 has started and finished for some people, but the real question is, should it have? Now, this video isn't going to pertain to absolutely everyone, but for most people. You see, most people haven't played Classic WoW since vanilla was a thing back, I don't know, early 2007, over 12 and a half years ago, or they never got to play it at all. Meaning that this will either be A, a completely fresh experience, or B, a completely brand new experience. Now, there are some people that have played it a lot more recently via less authentic means, that private servers. I'm talking about private servers. If you've been playing it on a private server, then this video doesn't really have anything to do with you, but it's still going to be good, so you should watch it, because it's got all the information, and you can laugh with me at... Just fucking watch it. It's going to be good. Anyways, so my issue is with the race in the race to 60, the race to max level, the race to endgame content. You see, racing implies trying to get through the content as fast as possible in order to get to the end game, which honestly is a mentality that has become more and more popular as the years have gone on, and for other lack of better terminology, it is kind of a BFA mentality, which is perfectly fine for BFA, and in fact is honestly the way I would recommend playing BFA. But once again, BFA and Classic, two really fucking different games. It makes a lot more sense to race to the end game because end game in modern WoW is a lot more jam-packed with content than it ever was in previous versions. When you say, oh, there's nothing to do, there's lots of shit to do. If you look back at Classic WoW, you take a look at the end game, really, honestly, there's not a whole lot to it. Now, disclaimer, I fucking like Classic WoW. I am not bashing Classic WoW. If I didn't like Classic WoW, I wouldn't sit through 3.5 hour fucking queue times every goddamn time I want to play this stupid game. And since I'm still in a queue time, I obviously like the game. So shut the fuck up, I like it, and listen to my explanation. So let's take a look at Classic WoW's endgame. You see, Classic WoW has realistically, from a PvE standpoint, dungeons until you don't need the gear anymore. And then raids, which you can do once a week. And that's it. Well, okay, but there's PvP, there's world PvP, and 3 battlegrounds that aren't out yet. That's, Straight up, there's just not a whole lot of variety in terms of the content. But then you go to BFA, there's multiple difficulties of dungeons up to and including the never-ending increasing difficulty of the Mythic Plus system, multiple difficulties of the raids that you can rerun over and over again, which I have a friend that will raid with his hardcore guild, then come join his friends in a less hardcore guild to run it a second time. And unless you're a part of like the super elite or super hardcore people that have already full cleared Mythic, you're probably not going to full clear Mythic, and that's okay. That just means that there's constantly more content for you to pursue in a never-ending pursuit of it. Whereas in Classic WoW right now, a lot of people have kind of full cleared Molten Core already. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the same for the later raid tiers, whatever, not getting into that, but the fact is, you got way more raid content, way more dungeon content. On top of that, you have things like island expeditions, world quests, daily quests. You can go back and re-experiencing old content for transmog and stuff like that. You can farm different mounts. There's things like all the stuff on Mechagon that's out right now. And then on the PvP side of things, there's a lot more too. Whether you like the current PvP system or not, you have to admit, there's a lot of fucking content. You got World PvP. Yes, there is World PvP out there, and in fact, you could say it's even more encouraging to go out there because they have world events, they have quests to go out and do stuff for World PvP that give you rewards, and then they have the same battlegrounds as well as multiple more battlegrounds as well as epic battlegrounds like Epic Wintergrasp and Ashran. Then they also have arenas, a lot of different kinds of arenas, as well as a ranked version of all of this. And I forgot what I was saying there for a second, but the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of fucking content, and I haven't even mentioned everything yet. So it is jam-packed full of endgame content, so you're going to want to rush to get there as soon as possible. And it makes even more sense when you realize that the actual leveling experience of BFA is kind of hot fucking garbage. I'm going to be honest, you'd think, hey, it makes a lot of sense that with there being multiple expansions of content and the world being bigger and vaster than it has ever been before, that it should be great, but just to simplify things, leveling in BFA, it sucks. It's boring. It's quick, it's easy, it's a means to an end. The rewards are plentiful but meaningless. Like, there's hundreds of quests that give you tons of rewards that you're either not using because you have BOA gear, or you're out leveling in a matter of hours because you level so goddamn fast. You zoom through the zones, it doesn't matter at all, there's no encouragement to explore, you're constantly looking towards max level because there's just, well, nothing really else to keep you entertained. You have no need to group up, no need to talk to anyone. You can solo shit by yourself. You feel like a fucking superhero running around taking on 10 mobs at once, and it's no big deal. It takes no skill. So yeah, when the leveling system sucks and the end game is jam-packed full of tons of content, you're going to want to race to max level. Classic WoW is a completely different animal. As I mentioned, the end game is a lot more simplistic. Not bad, but simplistic. There's a lot less to it. And it's basically a simpler version of stuff we already have. We already have dungeons. We already have World PvP. We already have battlegrounds. We already have raids and BFA. You're not going to get much new here. It's going to be a different version of stuff you're already doing. However, this is where the beauty of Classic WoW comes into play. Ironically enough, it is in the world of World of Warcraft. Surprise, shocking, I know. In reality, the true beauty of Classic WoW is in the leveling experience and world exploration. For starters, everything is slow and hard. And I'm not going to go into massive detail of everything here, but the fact is that it is pretty much the polar opposite of BFA. You have way less abilities, everything is slow, everything is challenging. While you can run around like a superhero, attacking 5 mobs at once, not giving a fuck, and then move on to the next pull immediately, you're gonna potentially die fighting one mob, and then you'll have to sit down and eat afterwards. Quests aren't bountiful and endless with tons of rewards. Rewards are scarce. Quests are scarce, and that makes them feel rewarding. Everything you do in Classic WoW, it takes forever, but when you finally complete stuff, it feels rewarding. Because you can't do everything on your own, you're encouraged to group up with people, and unlike in BFA, you'll actually see those people again because they're on your server, and they will only ever be on your server. Go out into the world, and there's organic world PvP that isn't basically encouraged by quests, it just happens. You have to walk everywhere until you get your first mount at 40 if you can afford it. So travel time takes a long time, which sounds boring, but once again, it just adds to the world immersion. You are forced to go out and explore the world. You are forced to walk to dungeons. You can't sit in a main city and just spam dungeon queues. And one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't realize or have forgotten is that Classic WoW is a completely different Azeroth than in BFA, because back in, Cataclysm, Deathwing decided to be a little shithead and fucked up the world. The Azeroth in Classic WoW is a version of the world that hasn't existed in about 10 years or more. It's insane, and you're going to want to explore it, and you're forced to explore it, and you're forced to engage with other people, which is surprising that you are going to want to interact with other people in an MMORPG. I know, right? The point I'm trying to get across is that it is an incredibly unique experience where every level matters, everything you do matters, everything feels important, and you're not looking towards max level, you're looking towards the next level, the next piece of gear, the next upgrade. You don't know what your spells are going to be because you don't get them automatically. They don't scale with you. You have to go to a class trainer and get that. Gold matters, so rather than just vendor everything and not give a fuck until max level, you're actually paying attention to what you're getting and potentially putting it on the auction house because you're gonna need that money. Everything's important while leveling in Classic WoW, and it's a truly unique experience that you'll never get anywhere else in modern WoW. It doesn't exist. And to those of you that are like, well, I want to race to endgame on my first character and get there so I can be a part of all that, and then I'll go back and level later on. Don't do that. I leveled 3 characters back in the day. My rogue was my first character, and then I leveled a hunter and a priest afterwards. And I have tons of memories from my rogue, of unique stories, of things that happened that I remember years after the fact that will last with me for probably a fucking lifetime. And I remember next to nothing about the priest and the hunter. You only get one first time to level in Classic WoW, so don't waste it. As for endgame, it's not going anywhere. It's still going to be there, and if you're worried you're going to miss out on the content, surprise, Classic WoW content doesn't become irrelevant when the next raid tier comes out. Whether it takes you 1 week, 1 month, or 2 months, that raid content is still going to be there. That world PvP is still going to be there. You're still going to get to enjoy that content, but rather than jump into what essentially is a different version of what you can already experience in BFA, which is, by the way, a really dumbed down version of explaining it, and don't burn me in the comments for that. I know they're different. That's another topic for another time. But the fact is, rather than jump into more dungeons and raids when you've already been doing dungeons and raids, and surprise, you already know what these dungeons and raids are going to be. There's no mystery about what the end game is going to be. We already know because it's already been fucking released. Rather than just jump into that, explore the unknown that is the world exploration and the leveling in Classic WoW. Anyways, I feel like I've rambled on enough on this, so that is why I feel like racing to 60 is playing Classic WoW the wrong way. So if you're one of those people that are racing, stop it, slow down, and just enjoy. Enjoy the leveling process. Enjoy the world exploration. Enjoy the little things like, finding a blood elf in Stonetalon Mountains that looks like a fucking alpha model, and you're like, what the hell is this shit? And it is a blood elf. It's just really weird, but little things like that. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the world and enjoy this experience, and trust me, you won't regret it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching my whole video. If you haven't already, just bombasted me in the comment section with hate comments because you watched the whole thing. I appreciate it. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell because I'm going to be doing more videos. I'm back on a regular basis, and you're not going to want to miss out on any of that shit. Anyways, I'm Ian from Sleep Deprivation Dozing Off, and I'll see you guys in the next video when I wake up.